Dan Illman, Mike Beer kicking off a pick 4 at Keeneland on Saturday with the Grade 1 Madison. We're going 7 furlongs for fillies and mares. Remember the first post bonus offered by DRF Bets on these major prep Saturdays. Bet $25 to win on one horse in race number 1 at either Aqueduct, Keeneland, or Santa Anita, where the major preps are held on Saturday. Get a $10 bonus, win or lose. Learn more at drf.com/preps. Let's meet the fillies and mares getting set to go for $300,000 in this Grade 1, and the number 9 is Shamrock Rose. We all know her. She won the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint at this 7 furlong distance, and she won the Raven Run over this course and distance last year. Really seemed to find herself when moved from a synthetic surface and moving from route to sprint. Now, last time out, they stretched her out in the Grade 2 Azeri. I thought she ran great that day. She kind of broke out a bit at the start, but she ended up getting the best trip with sort of the big 3 in there, up close to a moderate pace. She had a big look at it when she turns into the front, into the lead in front, but Midnight Bizou and a later just too much for her. Yeah,
just too good for her. She ran fine in that race, though, and it was nice to at least see her show that she could get a little bit more of a distance of ground. She ran fine in there against 2 horses that are just better than her. The cutback works for her. You already pointed out her 2 big wins over this distance at the end of last year. Yeah, she was big prices in both of them. Yeah, it kind of came out of nowhere. Her Breeders' Cup win, not that I want to take anything away from her for it, but she had a lot go right for her in that race. But her win in the Raven Run, I really couldn't find any way to really pick it apart, Dan. I mean, she wasn't way back off the pace in there. She was wide basically every step of the way, and she was much the best in that race. She's the horse to beat in here.
Oh, she's doubtlessly the horse to beat in here. Do you think that she will be run off her feet early in this race, or do you think that it's up to Irad to kind of keep her where she was in the where Tyler Gaffalione had this horse in the Raven Run?
Yeah, I mean, that's a race that you could actually point to and say she doesn't have to be that far off of it. I mean, that pace was pretty solid, and she just didn't get outrun. I wouldn't want to see her, you know, way back and last early in this race, but she's going to be off the pace. It's up to her rider to keep her within range.
The only bad sprint on her resume has come over a sloppy track that was an extremely speed-favoring track in the Hurricane Birdie, and that worked against Shamrock Rose. You'd be forgiving of that effort. Or if it comes up wet at Keeneland on Saturday, maybe it's something to consider. Let's talk about the horses coming out of the Grade 3 Barbara Fritchie. The 6, Late Night Powwow. What a story here for this West Virginia bred, 11 of 12 lifetime. She's only lost once in her career. In that race, she ran a good second. She got a nice trip last time out as the favorite in the Barbara Fritchie. She tracked the lone leader. The rail opened up. She shot on through, but she was dead game in the stretch.
Yeah, I mean, that's her calling card too, isn't it? I mean, you can just put her anywhere in a race. She has speed, but she doesn't have to go to the lead. She sat very comfortably in that race. You know, I guess there's a way to look at it, Dan, and say if you reverse the trips between her and Spice Perfection, maybe Spice Perfection wins if she comes up the inside and this horse has to go around. But either way, Spice Perfection had her chance to get her in the stretch, and this horse would not let her get by. She's a real tough horse.
She certainly did. I wonder if the recency advantage, or at least the slight recency advantage that Late Night Powwow had over Spice Perfection worked to her advantage. Spice Perfection, of course, the winner of the Grade 1 La Brea. It maybe wasn't the greatest La Brea when the favorite just didn't happen to show up that day, but she looked good winning that day with a 4-5 wide bid, transferred over to Peter Miller, and I thought she ran fine in the Fritchie. She basically sat inside. She tried to follow Late Night Powwow on the turn, angled 3 wide, had a big look at it at the 8th pole, and just came up a little bit shy. But I do like her at 7 furlongs. I do like her in stalking range, and maybe Javier will have her a little bit more motivated, a little closer to the pace this time.
Yeah, listen, she ran fine last time. That was a good second in that race. She had her shot at it. She just couldn't quite get by, but she ran fine in that race. I could easily see her turn the tables on Late Night Powwow this time. Does that mean she becomes the horse to beat? No, this is a much tougher race than that one was, but she ran fine last time. Each of her last 3 races give her a big chance in here.
Let's throw up the Timeform US pace projector for the Grade 1 Madison, and we've got a lonely leader. That's the number 4, Amy's Challenge, who is extremely fast. She is going to run here. She was cross-entered in a race at Oaklawn Park at 6 furlongs. She's just been dominant this winter at Oaklawn, just pounding horses into the ground, using her speed, and just, she loves to hear her feet rattle. But the challenge for Amy in this race is the 7.
Yeah, it really is. You know, she has to prove that she can get this far. You know, her 2 races of 7 furlongs are not close to her best races. I will say that when they ran her in the Raven Run last October, just put a line through that race. She totally blew the start.
Interesting, she had the rail in both of them.
Yeah, it's true. You know? She had the rail both times. She blew the brake so badly in the Raven Run, was never in position to run. I don't really care about that race. Her 8 bells a little bit harder to forgive. She didn't run well that day. But it's interesting, though, because they stretched her out around 2 turns early last year as a 3-year-old, and she ran fine in those races. Those distances too far for her, but she ran fine in those races. I think she can get the 7 dance. She is supposed to go right to the front. The 3 horses to her inside have no speed. They cannot keep her from the lead. She's supposed to be clear up the backstretch.
The way she ran in the Honeybee and the Fantasy, you just wondered if only she could settle down a little bit, because she was just a run-off in both of those races, and she ran quite well both times. Sitting in second on our pace projector, I think, is a very underrated horse, and that is the number 8, America's Tale for Bernie Flint. This horse has won 3 out of her last 4, and we wondered what would happen if she was denied the lead, because really her best races at the fairgrounds came when she had soft trips up front. Now, last time out in the inside information, she did get a nice trip pressing 3 wide, but boy, Paco Lopez, as usual, when he has on a live horse, is riding with immense confidence. America's Tale, I think, earned that race, earned that 91 buyer speed figure, and if for some reason Amy's Challenge doesn't get the 7, she could be in prime position to take this thing over when it counts.
Yeah, she might be the one sitting in the perfect spot if Amy's Challenge isn't up for it, going 7 here. Listen, she's won 4 in a row on dirt. I'm with you. I was nice to see her sit off the pace a little bit and still run her race last time. You know, it feels like she's tough to take back in this spot because it is a tougher race, and she was such a good price last time, but she's 10-1 on the morning line in this race.
The number 1, Sultry, I've always been a big fan of hers, and maybe I'm just using too many excuses. It just seems every time she runs, she's against the pace. There's just never any pace at the fairgrounds. They're going 46-1, 46-3. She is a 1-run closer. They ran the Devona Dale. They're basically going 48 to the half that day, and she's trying to come from next to last. Even going back to the Forward Gal in February, you know, the 3rd, her first start against Take Charge Paula, I thought she ran well that day. She didn't break. You tried to utilize an in-out trip, and it didn't work out for her. But right now, she needs pace, and she's going to get at least a fair shot of it with this speedball coming in from Oaklawn. But I'm just not sure if Sultry has improved since her 3-year-old campaign.
I guess that's the real question. But you know, it's one of those things. She only got those 2 starts in early last year, and then she just went away for almost a year. So I think you still might want to give her a little more time to take the step forward. But boy, she's going to have to do it here. Maybe Amy's Challenge just sets it up and she comes running at the end, but she still has to take a big step forward.
The good news is she at least has a good race over the Keeneland surface. She has won here in the past. Let's talk about Divine Queen, who I thought ran really well last time out at the fairgrounds. Just got wired by Salt Bay that day. That was one of the races where there was not a lot of speed. She came with a good run, but before that, Amy's Challenge walloped her.
Yeah, Amy's Challenge just crushed her 2 starts back. She's another closing sprinter. That kind of works against her. I would, you know, I sort of look at her and feel like if we get a wet track on Saturday, I'm going to move her up. Because her 2 races on wet tracks are really good, and they're a lot better than her fast track starts. But on a fast track, she feels like she's in top.
Cathedral Reader, no match for Spice Perfection in the La Brea, then no match for Amy's Challenge in the American Beauty. What's going to be different this time for Dallas Stewart? Hoping for a pace meltdown?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really see it. I mean, she doesn't need to be way out of it, but I don't really see the race that makes her a big contender in here. There are just too many horses who are faster than her.
Oklahoma Bed, Create a Star, completes the field. This horse, let's just say, has taken a shot in here off of a 66 buyer effort when beaten at 5-1 in a non-winners of 2 other then.
Yeah, I mean, even her best race doesn't really give her a big chance in here.
Top pick time for the Grade 1 Madison Stakes. For Mike, pace makes the race. Amy's Challenge is going to go to the front. You think she's going to stay the 7 and perhaps hold off the late run from the Breeders' Cup winner Shamrock Rose.
Yeah, she should be clear early in here. We'll see about the 7th furlong there. That could be a problem for her.
4, 9, 5, and 6 for Mike. I'm a Spice Perfection fan. I liked her La Brea. I thought it was a solid effort last time out against Late Night Powwow. I'm hoping she takes a slight move forward, and maybe if Amy's Challenge again doesn't get the 7, she gets the jump on the Breeders' Cup winner turning into the lane. 5, 4, 9, 6 for me in the Grade 1 Madison Stakes, kicking off the pick 4 at Keeneland on Saturday. Remember the DRF Bets promo. First post bonus. Bet 25 to win on 1 horse in race number 1 at Keeneland, Aqueduct, Santa Anita on Saturday. You know the drill. Get a $10 bonus, win or lose at drf.com/preps. Approximate post time for the Madison, 5:10 Eastern. Good luck.